Well, it's time again to bring you the latest edition of White House advisor Larry Kudlow saying unimaginably stupid things that will certainly come back to bite him. This time, once again, opining on the status of the coronavirus in America. Let's take a listen.
I do think, however, there are some worries that Britain might shut down. It's coming out of London. I can't verify it. It's not my job. But I read the reports like everybody else, and I think that's a great concern. The USA is in a much better position, thankfully. We've regained control of the virus, both the cases and the fatalities. But I think people are worried about Britain and maybe the rest of Europe as well.
Saagar, we've regained control of the virus. Nothing to worry.
Also, Britain did shut down, by the way. It just happened this
morning. I was right about that part.
About for the next 6 months, according to Prime Minister Boris Johnson. No, I mean, I don't know why they continue to allow this man to speak in public. First, the virus is contained. He said that in February, I think it was February 24th, something like that, right before the explosion and the beginning of all the restrictions. And as we said here, would be a total and complete disaster. And exactly it was. People have rolled that tape against him every single time. Then we were going to have the greatest economic recovery that the world has ever seen, the super V-shaped economy. We're in the V-shaped recovery, according to Larry Kudlow. That hasn't come out. Then he said...
Even the stock market crashed. Even their one metric they point to.
700 points or something like that. And then Larry, I think, had come out and he said something about the fact that we are now over the hill. Coronavirus is over. Now we have regained control. It's like, how many times, man? This is not stocks. It's not... You know, it's real. People are actually getting sick.
Yeah, and you can't just like pump confidence into the coronavirus market. You have to actually deal with numbers. That's the way he thinks about it, I think.
Yeah, it is, which is, look, the stock market is so fake that people like him actually could affect it. But, you know, on this particular one, no, it's not. And, you know, actually cases are on the rise across the United States. Things starting to get cold. It was 46 degrees on my commute here this morning. I mean, these are the exact conditions in which the virus arose in early February and in March. And so, again, we always predicted that heat definitely kills the virus as temperatures begin to drop across the country and as we're heading into Election Day. Plus, K-12 schools are beginning to reopen. New York Times out with a story this morning about how thousands of new cases are linked to schools. College students are the same thing, beginning to reopen. Now we're entering fall. I mean, it's a perfect storm, right? Again, why project that? Why allow having tape to be rolled against you over and over again? He just doesn't seem to care.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Well, and President Trump, I mean, on a similar message last night, talking about, like, just downplaying it, as he admitted he likes to do, saying that this essentially impacts nobody. Let's take a listen to that.
Oh, the disease, we didn't know it. Now we know it. It affects elderly people with heart problems and other problems. If they have other problems, that's what it really affects. That's it. You know, in some states, thousands of people, nobody young, below the age of 18, like nobody. They have a strong immune system. Who knows? You take your hat off to the young because they have a hell of an immune system, but it affects virtually nobody. It's an amazing thing. By the way, open your schools. Everybody open your schools.
First of all, it's not even true that it doesn't affect young people. I mean, go and look at the death notices, and yes, it is disproportionately the elderly and people with pre-existing conditions, but there are a good number of young and healthy people who have passed away. Second of all, we can throw the Wall Street Journal piece up there. We just passed 200,000 deaths. That is not nobody. And so, look, first of all, President could have handled this a lot better, and we could have had a lot fewer deaths. But now, to downplay it, say nobody's affected by it, everybody that I know has been affected by this in one way or another. Everybody knows someone who has had this disease, who's been sickened by it, who's potentially died from it, or who has had their life turned upside down by it. So to continue to downplay it like this is just completely outrageous and tone deaf, ultimately.
It's just stupid politically, too. That's the last thing seniors want to hear. Like, you got to do well with seniors to win. You need to win back the amount of senior voters that you won in 2016.
And he's like, I don't care.
That is the last thing they want to hear. They want to hear the opposite, because a lot of them know people who died of coronavirus or got sick themselves and actually had the worst of it. So again, it's just on the politics of it, incredibly foolish. And if they just continue to shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over again, and if they lose in November, it will be because of that.
Well, we talk here a lot about in Florida, obviously, elderly population, taking this very seriously, a place where they have had in the past major outbreak. It's doing better there, thank God, for the moment. However, We talk about how Biden, if he could just match Hillary's performance with Latinos, would easily win the state of Florida. The reverse is true for Trump. With his advantage now, how he's improved the margin among Latinos, basically tied there in some polls among Latinos, if he held on to his senior performance there last time around, done, no problem. And then you're in position to be able to win. So when you dismiss it like this, when this is the central concern, especially among seniors, the group that you've been bleeding support of to Joe Biden, not helpful.
No, certainly not.
All right, we'll have more Rising for you after this.